was asked to introduce this film, In Search of Memory, by Petra Seeger, which is about my father, Eric Kandel. And it's a special privilege for me to introduce this film because even though I am happily a legal aid attorney here in town at Bay Area Legal Aid, I've also had a fantasy career for a long time to be a documentary filmmaker. And in fact, when I was fresh out of law school and interviewing for jobs, one of my first job interviews, I was asked that horrible, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years question. And being a new lawyer and not having mastered the lawyerly art of dissembling, I told the truth. And I said, well, I think maybe in 5 years I want to be making movies. And surprisingly, I did not get that job. But luckily, I improved my interviewing techniques, and I have happily been doing legal aid work for the past 18 years. But if I had known that for the first 18 years of my life, I was sitting across the breakfast table from the ideal subject of a documentary film, well, maybe I would have taken that other career path. The origin of this film goes back to the year 2000, when my father won the Nobel Prize in medicine. And for most people, you think that would be enough, you had a full career, you kind of relaxed, rest on his laurels, but no, not my father. And as part of the Nobel events, he had to write a short autobiographical essay. And he got so jazzed by that experience that he decided to turn it into a book. And so In Search of Memory was born. And the book came out, and it too went on to win many awards and was translated into many languages. And Petra Seeger, a German filmmaker, read the book and became inspired to make the wonderful documentary that you're going to see tonight. And I think one of the really fabulous things about the movie is that it captures one of the essences of my father, which is that he is a true Renaissance man. So even though he looked the part of the stereotypical scientist in the lab with the glasses and the bow tie and that Albert Einstein hairdo, he actually is intensely curious about many things outside the lab. He is a connoisseur of art and of wine and of opera. He swims and he plays tennis. At approaching his 80th year, he's in incredible shape, physically and mentally. He's still working full-time and more. And what's great is he's still incredibly excited about his work. And what I love about the film is that it not only captures my father's excitement for his work, but it manages to translate for those of us who are not so well-versed in science that excitement and makes the audience excited about the work. And one of the things I think it does really beautifully is that it takes the intellectual beauty of my father's work and makes some very beautiful visual scenes about the work. So it almost takes my father's research work and turns it into a work of art. And that's a really lovely part of the film. One part of my father that Petra didn't get a chance to focus on because she only had an hour and a half, but that is particularly dear to me, is that he is a true feminist and has always supported women working and doing everything that they can. And my mother, Denise, who you'll see in the film, was very much encouraged and supported by him when my brother and I were young to continue her career as a sociologist at Columbia, and in part because of that support and enthusiasm from my father, she was one of the first women to get tenure at Columbia University. And I, too, was the beneficiary of that support when I turned 13, and it was time for me to have my bat mitzvah. Our conservative synagogue in New York was still not allowing girls to have a Saturday bat mitzvah and read from the Torah. And my father went to bat for me, and with a combination of his charm and my mom's tenacity, which you will also see in the film, I got that Saturday bat mitzvah. I do need to confess that even though I am a huge fan of documentary films, and I was so excited when I found out that Petra was making this film, and I couldn't wait to meet her, I was not thrilled to learn that my first meeting with her was going to be when she was going to be filming our family's Passover Seder at my parents' house in New York. I had always considered Seder to be a very intimate family event, and I was concerned that the presence of Petra with her microphone and her cameraman might intrude on that. And if I have to be honest, I was also a little afraid that maybe she would memorialize on film my kids torturing each other or me losing it or some other family dysfunction that often happens at these events. But as you'll see from the film, no such calamity ensued. And in fact, it's a testament to Petra's skill as a filmmaker and her warmth and sincerity as a human being that by the end of the meal, we were begging her to put down the microphone and the cameraman to put down the camera so they could join us in the meal because it felt like they were part of the family. And I think that one of the really strengths of this film is that Petra was really able to establish a fabulous, genuine relationship with my father, and that enabled her to capture some really personal, lovely moments on film that would not have been possible otherwise. So my last words, Petra, are to you to thank you because you've really given our family the best home movie that we could ever have.